Hey guys, Doug the Retirement Guy. We got another strong video here for you this week. Just want to say, hey, we're putting out a ton of weekly paying dividend videos, monthly paying ETF videos, bond videos. We're trying to help you grow your account. And what we're asking for you is simply go down in the description. If you can, hit the Patreon support button. We're trying to get 100 supporters by the end of the following month. And we just set a goal trying to get the support. If you can help us with $1, $2, $5, it's going to help the channel continue on and continue to grow. Today we have a review of the Yieldmax Universal Fund of Options ETF called Ymax. Is this good for your retirement account? We did a review on this back in January, and they weren't doing what we expected. They were not real performing. Now they're a little bit over a year old, so let's take a look at them. Promoting at 62.02% yield. First off, Yieldmax is basically they call it the fund of funds. They primarily take a cut of every Yieldmax ETF fund, pour it into this fund here, so you get a little portion of each and every one of them. Their distribution rate, 62.02. Their SEC yield of 95.10. That sounds outrageous. Their expense fees are definitely at that 1 percentage point range. So it's still a little high. You know, that's the one thing we really definitely have against this. But let's take a look at this. Is a spreadsheet that goes on and on and on. These are the top holdings for Yieldmax, and you basically will look at they're holding their own income funds across the board. Okay. Now, where do they get, first off, the 90% SEC yield? If you ever took and dialed into each and every one of these ETF funds, you will find they are made up of 80 to 90% treasury bills, treasury bonds, US securities that all have a fixed interest rate payout. So basically, they're not saying you're getting 95% return on your money. There's a 95% chance you're going to get an SEC yield out of your money, out of this fund each and every week. And that is because of the interest rates that they're collecting, not the performance. But 62% dividend yield, this is from each one of these funds, how well the funds are doing. So when you look at it, Coin, which is the Coinbase programs, Tesla, Netflix, a lot of strong ones that we've talked about that have performed very, very well. So why Ymax? Well, it's at 62% that we're all looking for. We're looking for that crazy dividend payout. But you have to remember that is a dividend and interest and capital gains all tied into one specific time or period to get those type of returns. The enhanced exposure. Ymax seeks to amplify returns from all of its ETF funds. So if you bought any Yieldmax, the one I would say you want to buy is technically Yieldmax because you're getting a cut out of every one of their funds. So if one takes off, you're going to see some response here in Yieldmax. The powerful combination. Yieldmax provides a potential power combination of multiple ETFs and the stock leverage and monthly payouts. And as I said, monthly dividend payouts. They're not guaranteed, but with monthly payouts, I love, and you know here on the channel we love, is the regular cash flow. That the income comes in, we're able to pay our bills and have money left over to go enjoy our retirement life. Or if you're not in the retirement yet, you want to reinvest your money, you can reinvest your dividends and go forward. So the return off of Yieldmax after 1 year. And this is where we said the Yieldmax was that slope. It was that ski slope straight down, just constantly dropping off, dropping off, dropping off. And this one here, you can see it kind of still doing the same thing. It found its core, it's found its base. And then we had the April tariffs kick in, and we've seen that took some effect, but it came out fairly strong. But it's kind of given us a real good number of where we're sitting at. So basically, as I said, this came out in January 24. So we're just a year and a half into this. 1 month, they're at 3.14% gain. 6 months, they're still down 26. Year to date, down 20. and 1 year they're down 33. So normally we'd sit back and say, no, the numbers still don't work. They're not looking good. They're losing on a regular basis until you look at that 1 month that they had a good month. Is this a fluke or what's going on? So what we did is we broke it down. What happened in May? What's going on right now in the past 30 days? What's going on? Well, they've hit their bottom at that $13 range. They slowly worked back up, went back down, came back up, back down, and then they had the big jump up to $14, and now they're working their way back down. The 52-week average is $16.89. The trailing low is $12.71. So basically, the lowest price that this thing really has gotten to is $12.71. The price currently is $13.48. So in a whole, that tells us we have about a $3 gain to get to a 52-week high. In this fund, I'm not looking at that weekly high. What I'm trying to see is, has Yieldmax got itself to a point where we know the bottom, and where we know if we're at a bottom, how much above bottom are we actually at? So if we flux into that, then we know the dividends are not going to be eaten up by NAV erosion, and we're going to be able to spend the dividends, but we're able to find where the special point is, where to buy. So we look at the dividends, how it's happened with that. Very similar what we were expecting to happen too. When they started off, they were paying big, wide open dividends because they were doing them on a quarterly or a monthly basis. So in September of 24, they changed over to a weekly paying dividend. And now you can see all the multiple different dots, but you're also seeing a fairly steady flat platform of about 18 cents per share. So there's not as much fluctuation, which means they've dialed in what the dividend payment's going to be versus what the stock valuation is going to be. I look at this one and say, okay, now if I bank out and say I'm going to get 18 cents every week for 52 weeks, how does that fit to a dividend return versus what I get from a growth or loss in the fund? So we put this into our calculator and we said, hey, look, if we bought this in 524, the price was $20.26, still way above our target price. And we would have been able to buy 493 shares. Even with buying at the wrong point, we only lost 5.48% of our value of our fund. But we gained $4,126 or 41% in dividends. So that means the fund actually generated 35% profitability for us. So you could have taken $3,500 of those dividends and went and lived off of, and not even have to worry about it. So we're covering the losses on the stock return with dividends. It was just only 3-4 months ago that you were giving up 50% of your dividends to stock return. So now we're down to a 5%, which is not really as bad as it once was. We never want to see negatives, but in this situation, I love seeing the big positives in the dividend. So is this time to buy Ymax? In my opinion, is yes, because I think we found the bottoms. I think we found where we're sitting. As again, the 52-week average is $16.89. The trailing low is $12.71. I will never tell you to buy and time the market. What I'm trying to tell you is that there's a barrier that you're working from. The rock bottom barrier is $12.71. The top end barrier is $16.89. You're at $13.48. If you look at the chart, and I use this chart very easily, I think this one shows the best point of it. For me, anything between the 13 and 1350 price points is really what I call our bottom point. Now, yes, we're going to have, we may have times where it drops down into that below $13 range. But again, you're dropping very, very minimal percentage points when you do that. Even though I hate ever seeing losses, I've controlled our losses. I controlled where we're going to with this program. So as long as you're buying between that 13 and 13.50 price point, you're doing very well. So if you're going to take and just pour money into this, which I don't suggest, I would just roll money into this on a steady, regular, scheduled basis. And this will put you into a position to where you'll be sitting back saying, wow, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months into this, you'll be smiling saying, why did I just dump it all in? Because you're buying equally and your average is going to come in to be about that 13, realistically between that $13.50 point. So is Yieldmax good for a retirement account? I'll tell you point blank. The dividend, you're getting 41.26%. I know it's below their advertised point of 62%. I'm giving you hardcore numbers that you can make 41% off the dividend on Yieldmax. You lost 5.47% over 12 months. But if you buy in the targeted price range, you'll reduce that number even more. To almost, I believe you can make it a positive number. But even with this point, if you take that 5% from that 41%, you're still looking at a 35% dividend return. So is Yieldmax good for a retirement account? My answer to you is most definitely yes. Is this a fund that you want to buy and set it and forget it and be done with it? Absolutely not. This one needs maintenance. This one needs to be watched. This one needs to be, it's like a child. You have to watch it, babysit it, feed it, do it, all that. It's not a set and forget. So if you're not an active person in your retirement account, if you're just going to set it, forget it, and not worry about it, again, I wouldn't say this is the one to be. But if you bought it right, you could easily make it that. So we put this as definitely a moderate buy. Guys, this is Doug the Retirement Guy. If you like what we're doing, give it that thumbs up. Don't miss any of the videos. We're put out 47 different videos just on monthly paying ETFs alone. Now we're working on the weekly payers. That's another 23 plus there. So, don't miss any of our videos. If you have any comments, you like what we're doing or don't like what we're doing, leave it down below. We read them all and we try to respond. And second thing and final thing, go into the description. If you can help us, hit that Patreon. Be one of our Patreon supporters and let's go forward. Everything helps our channel grow because we are trying to help get your pocketbook to grow even bigger. We'll catch you next time.